Welcome to Channel. Trump's trade war with Canada is crumbling, and it's far worse than anyone imagined. What was once touted as a bold strategy to put America first has now spiraled into a full-blown diplomatic and economic fiasco. During what was meant to be a routine White House meeting, Canada's Prime Minister, Mark Carney, exposed the glaring cracks in Trump's economic playbook. The gathering, intended to highlight Trump's supposed deal-making brilliance, instead revealed a president on the defensive, scrambling to undo the chaos he created. Behind closed doors, sources say the tone was tense. Trump, facing mounting pressure from U.S. businesses and farmers suffering under his own tariffs, appeared desperate for Canada's cooperation. Carney, calm and composed, reportedly held his ground, refusing to bend to Trump's erratic demands. This wasn't just a bad meeting. It was a public unmasking of a failed strategy. To truly grasp how it all unraveled, we have to go back to the beginning of Trump's trade war, a policy born from bluster and political theater that is now imploding under the weight of its own contradictions. And now, as Trump's once celebrated America First approach backfired spectacularly, the question isn't whether he can fix it, it's whether there's anything left to salvage. Whenever possible, I like to give credit where it's due, but in this case, there's simply nothing to praise. Here's a president who built his entire brand on being the ultimate deal-maker. Yet he can't even manage to maintain stable trade relations with America's closest ally and largest trading partner. Tuesday's meeting was supposed to be Trump's big moment, a chance to project confidence and control. Instead, it exposed the president floundering to repair the very alliances he spent years tearing apart. His terror crusade has been nothing short of catastrophic for both the U.S. and Canada. Trump's blanket tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, automobiles, and lumber, industries that form the core of North American trade, have triggered a ripple effect of economic pain. But what he didn't anticipate was just how much his own country would suffer. Canadian tourism to the U.S. has plunged. American retailers are dropping Canadian products from their shelves. And the once thriving economic partnership that took generations to build is now eroding in real time. The data paints a damning picture. Over 77% of Canada's exports go to the U.S., a relationship vital to both economies. Yet under Trump's heavy-handed policies, Canada's unemployment rate has soared to 7.1%, its highest in nearly a decade. Meanwhile, American manufacturers are choking under higher costs for raw materials and unpredictable supply chains, a crisis entirely of Trump's own making. Perhaps the most telling moment came during that Oval Office meeting. Sitting beside Prime Minister Carney, Trump's attempt to overcompensate, showering his counterpart with awkward praise, revealed not strength, but unmistakable desperation. What was meant to be a display of leadership instead became a portrait of a president in over his head, struggling to contain the fallout of his own failed trade war, ChatGPT said. Trump's behavior during the latest White House meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney was nothing short of chaotic and deeply revealing. At one point, he told reporters that he liked Carney from the beginning and that they have a good relationship, only to immediately contradict himself by admitting there's a natural conflict between them. That's not the language of a confident negotiator. It's the nervous rambling of a man who knows he's out of his depth. Even more striking was Trump's sudden praise for Carney. Calling the Canadian leader a world-class statesman and a tough negotiator, Trump essentially confessed that he's been outmatched at the bargaining table. This is the same man who once mocked Carney's predecessor, Justin Trudeau, as weak and ineffective. Now, faced with a prime minister who won't be intimidated, Trump has been forced to change his tune because he knows he needs Canada far more than Canada needs him. The contrast between the two leaders couldn't have been clearer. Carney arrived focused, composed, and armed with data-driven proposals. Trump, by contrast, drifted between topics, repeating talking points and making vague promises with no substance behind them. It was a vivid display of professionalism versus improvisation, and the world noticed. But the real indicator of Trump's desperation goes back to their first meeting in May, when he bizarrely suggested that Canada should become the 51st U.S. state. Carney reportedly shut him down on the spot, firmly reminding Trump that Canada is not for sale and never will be. Instead of moving on, Trump clung to the fantasy, revealing just how far removed he is from geopolitical reality. Since that humiliating exchange, Carney has played the long game, a quiet, strategic one. He's dropped certain counter tariffs and suspended Canada's proposed digital services tax on U.S. tech giants. Not as concessions to Trump's pressure, but as deliberate moves to expose Washington's lack of reciprocity. Each gesture has tightened the diplomatic vice, forcing Trump into a corner. It's a masterclass in diplomacy, while Carney plays chess, anticipating every move, thinking several steps ahead. Trump is still fumbling through a game of checkers, unaware he's already losing. Trump set out to project strength, but instead he's backed himself into a corner where he now needs Canada more than ever. What began as a show of dominance has spiraled into an exercise in damage control, with the self-proclaimed master negotiator reduced to pleading for cooperation rather than commanding it. The economic data lays bare just how disastrous his approach has been. While most of Canada's exports continue to enter the U.S. tariff-free under the existing trade framework, Trump's target